In the Loud House, they show their love by ducking, dodging, pushing, and shoving, and by saying plenty of inappropriate jokes. Some of these episodes have scenes that would never be approved by your parents. We took your suggestions and explored 10 inappropriate Loud House episodes. Stay tuned for number 10, the episode only true Loud House fans have heard of. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button to never miss another video. And don't forget to give us a big thumbs up. Let's explore some more Loud House episodes that weren't meant for kids. Frog Wild. Let's start with Frog Wild, which was an episode suggested by a YouTube user called I'm a Chubby Hamster. We're pretty sure a lot of adults would get completely grossed out by this episode too, or at least by the theme of it. In this episode, Mrs. Johnson tells the class they'll have to dissect frogs. We're sure you had to do that in school already, and the Loud siblings are no different. While Lincoln is really excited, Lana shows him how she met her pet frog, Hops. She makes a point that frogs are cooler on the outside than they are on the inside. Lincoln agrees and decides to go on a rescue mission to save the frogs from being dissected. Him and Lana end up saving the frogs and making a froggy fortress in the classroom where all frogs can be seen happily playing and jumping around. At the very last scene of the episode, a kid points to the fortress and asks, "What are the two frogs doing?" Mrs. Johnson suddenly freaks and tries to cover the glass to stop the kids from seeing something that definitely wasn't meant for their eyes. What do you think? Should Frog Wild be on the list, or were you able to watch the episode without a problem? Make sure to let us know in the comments and suggest even more inappropriate episodes to get a shout out just like I'm a Chubby Hamster. L is for Love. This episode might not be that controversial, but we're pretty sure no parent would want their children to get anonymous letters and decide to take matters into their own hands. You be the judge. Shout out to JJ1014 for suggesting this episode. L is for Love is a super cute episode. In it, the kids receive an anonymous love letter addressed to L Loud, which pretty much means it could be a letter for any of them considering all their names start with the letter L. To find out who's behind the letter, the siblings decide to approach their crushes and send them signals to let them know they've received the message. Well, except for Luna, who's too shy to approach anyone called Sam. They start getting more letters, and as soon as the letter mentions sweet sounds and all things British, the kids immediately discover that they're intended for Luna. They all go to the British restaurant where they are supposed to meet the creator of the letter. However, it turns out that it was their parents who have been sending each other letters. We also get to find out that Sam is a girl, but that's not what's weird about the episode. If a child receives an anonymous letter that tells them to go meet someone somewhere, they should definitely tell their parents first. We're sure all parents agree that the episode is just teaching children to take matters into their own hands. Potty Mouth. Potty Mouth can also be seen as a completely innocent episode, but we're sure there are a lot of fussy parents who have something to say about this storyline. Potty Mouth is all about, well, potty mouth. When their parents go to the mall to pick out an appropriate tie because they're going to be interviewed by the daycare academy, the kids decide to watch TV, and that's when Lily lets out a sound that Lucy describes as the D word. As soon as she says it, all kids are totally shocked. Now remember, this is a cartoon for kids, so it shouldn't really have any curse words of any nature. The next few clips show the Loud kids in various situations where they got angry, and it seemed like Lily learned that specific word from them. If it wasn't appropriate for Lily, it probably wasn't appropriate for the kids to be saying it either. Lisa even listens to a song with censored lyrics, and we know it's something that rhymes with the word planet. The kids realize that it's them who have taught Lily the bad word and decide they have to behave better so that Lily can imitate better behavior. The episode might be hilarious, but we're pretty sure a lot of you have wanted to repeat those words or even say something worse. Wait until you hear what Lily actually said. Space Invader. Alright, there would be absolutely nothing wrong with Space Invader if it wasn't for the inappropriate joke that was apparently too much to handle for British TV. Stay tuned to hear what happened. In Space Invader, Lynn and Lucy have a fight, and as the two have shared their room, Lincoln is kind enough to share his room with Lynn to let her cool off. Lynn isn't really impressed by Lincoln's room, but Lincoln's tired face says it all after Lynn claims that there's a total lack of balls in his room. There's a small pause before she continues and says there's a good thing she brought her own balls. We bet that all adults were able to understand that joke much better than any kid would, and many would agree that this is just a little bit too inappropriate for a children's show. And that's not all. In the UK version of the same episode, the small pause and Lincoln's tired face are completely removed. See, even Nickelodeon thinks these jokes are inappropriate for kids. Not to mention just how mean and ungrateful Lynn was when Lincoln offered her his room. Her attitude in this episode definitely shouldn't be copied by any child. What do you think? Did Lynn some go too far, or is the UK Nickelodeon just a little bit sensitive? The Loudest Yard. The Loudest Yard is an innocent episode, but we bet some parents might have something to say about it, especially since the specific inappropriate scene happens right at the beginning. Rita Loud criticizes her son for sitting inside and playing videos all day, and in the next scene, he gets distracted by the arcade during a power walk with his dad. What can we say? This is how Lincoln is. He loves video games more than anything, and he absolutely hates being outside. But the next scene is what's most disturbing about this entire episode. We see Rita doing a home workout and telling Lincoln that exercise is fun. If you stopped the scene here and showed it to any parent, they probably think this episode is completely inappropriate. It sure looks that way until the next take shows that Lincoln has actually taped a comic book to his mom's behind and is now reading it while pretending he's working out. It's not one of our favorite episodes, but it's also not the worst one. Hand-me-downer. Hand-me-downer is an important lesson for kids, but there's a scene that will probably scar you for life, and you'll never be able to look at Lori without noticing this detail. Lincoln isn't happy when he receives a hand-me-down bike from Lori, which is too girly for him. He ends up taking Lynn's bike, which ends up getting stolen. The entire episode is an important lesson in hand-me-downs, and how the Loud kids personalize the hand-me-down they received from older siblings. But there's just one part that's slightly bizarre, and it will end up staying with you forever. After Lincoln accuses Lori that she never had to deal with hand-me-downs because she's the oldest, Lori shares an uncomfortable fact we really didn't want to know. She says that her iconic blue tank top we always see her wear is actually her mom's old girdle. Her statement makes her siblings groan in disgust, and we can totally see why. A girdle is a piece of underwear women wear to give an appearance of a slimmed-down waist. Just think about it. Lori is actually wearing her mom's old underwear as a tank top. We're pretty sure you won't stop thinking about it every time you see Lori. It's a piece of information we never needed to know, and we'd happily live without it. Back in Black. Nickelodeon managed to squeeze in a lot of inappropriate jokes in the Loud House, and you probably never even noticed them. It's exactly why we think these episodes were definitely not meant for kids. Lincoln's friend Rusty makes a pretty funny joke in the first scene of Back in Black. We see Lincoln finishing his solar system model when Rusty joins him at the door, along with his younger brother. Then, Lincoln asks Rusty if he brought Uranus, and Rusty says he never leaves home without it. Lincoln might be talking about the planet, but it looks like Rusty is definitely not talking about the Uranus you can find in the solar system. Or maybe he is, just in a different way. Another character who's probably scarier than ever in this episode is Lucy, who develops a crush on Rusty's younger brother Rocky. Between Lucy's sudden obsession with Rocky and Uranus, this episode could definitely be toned down just a bit. Serial Offender. Serial Offender is a very interesting episode, but we're not sure how well it would go down with parents. We all know kids sometimes can't behave, especially in a public setting like a grocery store. It seems like it would be a lot of fun causing havoc around the store. Besides, it's never a good idea to let kids as old as the Loud children go shopping completely by themselves. But Lincoln wants to get the new type of cereal and convinces his mom to go shopping by himself. Of course, his sisters have to come along, and that's when the problems start. Although the episode is funny, no parent would ever want their children to behave in the same way at a grocery store. But the cherry on top is the scene where Lincoln picks up canned tomatoes. All of a sudden, Lynn comes screaming down the aisle saying, "Yippee-ki-yay, market shoppers!" Children watching won't know what that means, but we guarantee that most adults would have to do a double take to make sure they haven't heard Lynn say a terrible word. Let's just say that in this case, Nickelodeon did a play on words, and market shoppers actually meant something completely different that's definitely not meant for kids. Get the message. Get the Message has an interesting scene that shows a quick animation mistake if you pause at the right time. But the episode itself is just all kinds of bizarre, especially the beginning where Lincoln seems to be playing a VR game where he fights off zombies with breakdancing. Sure, it's breakdancing, but we've never seen someone do the infamous twerking as they breakdance. It seems highly inappropriate for a child to be doing that in a video game, and Lincoln makes things worse as he says the zombie will feel his twerk and calls him an evil jerk. We all know kids like to get temperamental when they play video games, but we're sure parents wouldn't want to encourage their kids using language like that. What do you think? Would your parents allow you to shake it like Lincoln does, just so you can fight off zombies? Make sure to watch our videos on animation errors in the Loud House to see where you can spot a very simple but interesting illustration mistake. It happens in the next scene as Lincoln dances his way up to Lori's room. And let's just say that she's not very happy about it. Did you Get the Message? Let us know in the comments. Enough is enough. And finally, if there's an episode that's definitely not meant for children, it's the one that hasn't aired at all. Shout out to GamerXCam, who pointed out that we should definitely mention this episode too. Enough is Enough is a mysterious episode that was supposed to be the 3rd season finale, but it was completely scrapped after the final production was already finished. It was discovered by someone who found a website with lost pieces of media such as deleted episodes and other fun facts. Of course, this story could be easily made up, but we'll let you be the judge. Enough is Enough is a dark episode with a much more serious storyline than any other episodes from the Loud House. The episode starts off with Luann making fun of Lincoln using puns and laughing it off. Lincoln had enough of her jokes, and let's just say he let his video game temper get to him. The rest of the storyline revolved around an alternative way Lincoln reacted to his sister's loud and obnoxious behavior, and the scenes were definitely not meant for kids. Let's just say when the episode ended, the Loud family no longer had 11 kids. It's a dark storyline that was most likely made up, but if it wasn't, we definitely see why it was never aired. What do you think? Was Enough is Enough just a fan fiction, or is the story real? And that's it for our video. For more videos like this one, check out 10 mistakes in the Loud House you might have missed. See you next time.